Thank you, His Excellency, for granting us this interview. To start with, what would you say is Russia's main focus when it comes to Russia-Myanmar relations?
First, thank you very much for taking this interview. Our overall goal in relations with Myanmar is to develop friendly ties and good cooperation for the interest of people of both countries. And we have a very solid foundation for this. Historically, we have been friends for more than 60 years. There are even material monuments of the friendship and good cooperation, like Yangon Technological University, the hospital in Taunji. So the history is favorable, and we should build up on this. We have very good political relations, and we discuss with our Myanmar colleagues serious issues of serious international problems, like disarmament, combating terrorism, strengthening information and telecommunication security. So we believe that every country, regardless big or small, can contribute to the decision and solution of today's world problems. We have very good humanitarian ties. Thousands of Myanmar students study in Russia. Last year, Myanmar medical doctors visited Russia to acquire new knowledge in healthcare, in child disease prevention, and we have good tradition of cultural exchanges. For the future, I think the main focus should be on development of economic ties, because they are somewhat lagging behind. But we have very good potential, and there are a lot of Russian companies which are interested in doing business in Myanmar, develop trade, and cooperate in co-production. So we are working together with our Myanmar colleagues through the Joint Commission on the action plan to develop economic ties.
Yeah. When you talk about the economic ties, I think that there was a target that by 2017, bilateral trade will be around like US dollar 500 million. Are you do you expect that will be sort of met, the expectation or the target will be met?
No, this target was just mentioned in one of the presentations during the first meeting of our Joint Commission. We will be working on this. We know the interests of Myanmar side, for example, in exporting agricultural goods, but some steps are needed, like certification and licensing. So we'll be working on it. Right now, we are on good pace, but additional steps are needed.
As you have witnessed, we have changes in the country for the last like 5 years, 4.5 years. And how do you view those changes, reform process that we have in the country for the last 4-5 years?
We welcome reforms which enhance the standing of Myanmar as sovereign nation and contribute to the economic development of the country. However, unlike some other countries, we do not intend to teach Myanmar people how to live, what political or economic system to adopt. This is completely for the Myanmar people to decide. And we strongly believe that each country should adopt a system which suits its history, traditions, and other features, including people's psychology. But overall, we follow closely the reforms. We follow the historical actions. Our observers took part in monitoring of the elections and made positive conclusions. We welcome, of course, the progress in the peace process because it enhances security of people and create additional possibilities for development. And economic reforms are also beneficial both for Myanmar people and for expanding foreign ties with foreign countries. So we hope that the liberalization and economic reform would create additional opportunities for our bilateral cooperation. So despite the difficulties, we see the economic development of Myanmar during the last 5 years as quite impressive.
Yeah. Looking at the future, besides what you have mentioned on Russia-Myanmar relationship, what do you expect for Russia-Myanmar relations under the new government led by Nationally for Democracy?
You know, history tells us that Myanmar was most successful when she adopted active and independent foreign policy. We remember well that in the 50s, Myanmar was a prominent player in international and regional affairs, one of the founding members of the non-aligned movement, one of the founders of Panchashila, peaceful coexistence principles. So we hope that this good tradition of active and independent foreign policy would continue. We were encouraged by the words of the leader of National League for Democracy, Aung San Suu Kyi, that Myanmar is planning to develop friendly and mutually beneficial cooperation with all countries. And from our side, we're absolutely ready to cooperate, to interact in various areas on the basis of mutual respect, equality, and mutual benefit. So we can talk about enhancing political relations and promoting, for example, interparliamentary ties and human exchange, and of course, as I mentioned before, to take additional steps to implement economic projects.
Myanmar has an electrical power problem with only about 30% of the country's population on national electrical grid. And can you tell us about Russia's engagement with transferring nuclear power technology to Myanmar?
Yes, we have concluded an agreement in 2007 about the construction of research nuclear reactor. And last year, MOU was signed between Rosatom Corporation and Myanmar Ministry of Science and Technology on cooperation in peaceful use of atomic nuclear technologies. So this is a very advanced and long-term project, and it demands efforts from both sides. You know, in order to implement cooperation in this area, the country should have capacity, and most important is human resource capacity. So first step is training of people and educating them about these technologies, the safety measures, etc. Of course, we would develop our cooperation in this area in strict accordance with all international rules and regulations, and Myanmar side needs to take some certain steps in this regard. I know the nuclear safety law was discussed in the parliament, and I think it has been adopted recently. So this is a good step. So first, training of personnel. Then the next step, if Myanmar side is interested, could be developing of research reactor to produce isotopes. And nuclear technologies is not only nuclear power stations. The isotopes can be used in medicine, in agriculture, for quality control in industries. So it's very wide spectrum of application. About the nuclear power station, we analyze the Myanmar plans in terms of electricity. So our understanding is that the country plans to nearly triple or maybe even quadruple the production of electricity by 2030. This is ambitious and not an easy task. And we believe that development of nuclear energy could be one of the ways to achieve this goal. One nuclear power station with 4 blocks can produce the same amount of electricity as all Myanmar power stations are producing now. So in terms of quality and quantity, it will be a breakthrough. Our state corporation, Rosatom, is very well known and the leading actor in this regard in the world. It produces very reliable, sophisticated equipment for nuclear power stations. And the overall trend, I believe, especially in the light of recent decisions of the climate conference, would be in favor of development of nuclear energy. Look at the neighboring countries. China is developing this sort of technology. India, recently we concluded, Rosatom concluded agreements with Bangladesh, with Vietnam. So we believe this is a long-term trend in the world, and as we face a task of reducing CO2 emission. But again, the cycle is very long. Even if we start today, the station could be built in maybe 10 to 12 years. So it's a very long cycle. And so we are ready to start, and we feel that the Myanmar side is interested in starting the technological cooperation, research and training of personnel. And we expect the decision from Myanmar side on the future of the cooperation in this area. It's very promising, and it would also raise the technological level of Myanmar industry and overall technological level of the country. So we believe that this is a very promising area for future cooperation.